Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Sorry.
Yeah, you guys definitely look sweaty.
I'm Chris, I'm here with Oak, we're from Tennis Warehouse, and today we are doing a head-to-head racket comparison. We've got the Tecnifibre TFight 305S versus the Prince ATS Textreme Tour 98. Two really nice players' rackets. Oak, tell us how you strung yours up.
Yeah, so I've got a natural gut and polyester combo here today. So lots of feel, really good touch, great pocketing, as you would expect, at like 49 pounds or so. And then with the polyester, a little bit higher to get that tension drop. So about 49 for the natural gut and around 53 for the poly.
Right on, dude. I've got a couple of polys in my rackets. I've got Ice Code in the TFight, and then I've got Yonex Polytour Drive in the Prince. I've got them both strung at 50 pounds on a constant pull machine. I've hit both of these rackets with a ton of string in them, so I didn't go identical strings for the video today, but I have hit them with identical strings as we're getting ready for the play test. Let's head into ground strokes. What were your impressions of these rackets from the ground, and which one would you pick as a winner?
Yeah, I mean, both of these rackets, I'll start off by saying that I'm intimately familiar with, use them a lot. The ATS 98 is my go-to for string testing, and the TFight 305S might be my new racket of choice, so stay tuned on that. But for ground strokes, it's really gonna vary shot by shot for me. So for my one-hander, I would prefer the TFight. It's just a little bit more whippy, a little bit more maneuverable. Feels like it creates a little bit more action on the ball. On my two-hander, my most consistent and powerful shot, I'm gonna have to go with the ATS, just a really solid racket, really good pocketing, feel like I can really whip through the ball. And then on my forehand, I'm gonna have to give a slight edge to the TFight, just a little bit more precision, a little bit more finesse on that one.
For me, it's really tough to decide between these two on the ground because I feel like I play at that same level with both rackets. I get good spin, good pace, I'm controlling the ball as well as I can for my level, so I'm really happy with the way I'm hitting with both rackets. With the TFight, I'm getting a firmer, crisper feel. I feel a little bit more connected to where the ball is going, and then with the Tour 98 from Prince, I'm just getting that plusher sense, a little bit more dwell time, so a little bit more, maybe more feel on the backhand slice. I would give it a slight advantage to the Prince racket there. But overall, I kind of really like that crisp response of the TFight, and out of the two, I think it feels slightly more solid. When I'm not hitting my forehand as cleanly as I like, it's the racket that kind of helps me out a little bit more. Okay, so I think for me, I got to go Tecnifibre for the winner from the baseline. Let's go to volleys. What did you think of that?
Yeah, again, it's gonna be splitting hairs here. I mean, these rackets are super close spec-wise as well, so not a ton that separates them other than that 18 main on the TFight. I will say though that with the slightly deeper ball pocketing on the ATS, I feel like for me, it's a little bit more conducive to how I volley, and especially playing against, heavier hitters, having that deeper ball pocketing to redirect some additional pace really goes a long way. That said, the 18 main does a really good job on the TFight of, dropping balls short, and so if you're somebody who plays with a lot of finesse, a lot of touch, that might be a better option, but I'm gonna have to go with the ATS 98 on this one.
You know what, I'm gonna agree with you, Oak. For me, I just got a little bit more feel on my touch volleys, and those are kind of go-to shots for me. I really like to hit the drop volleys, little angles, and the Prince is so buttery and silky smooth on its response. I felt very connected to those shots. I was hitting them really well. When I was looking to punch a volley, I think the Tecnifibre does a better job here. It's more of what we call a point and shoot racket, and what we mean by that is you just line the string bed up where you want the ball to go, and it's in and out quickly, and it goes right to the target. So I think a very crisp, clean response on those punch volleys. It's the better of the two, but my game's based around touch, so I've got to give the nod to the Prince at net. Okay, let's move on to serves. What do you think of these rackets, and do you have a winner on serve?
On serve, again, really close here. I'm gonna give a slight edge to the TFight. I just feel like it handles a little bit better above the shoulder. Slightly faster, slightly whippier, and I just feel like I'm getting a little bit more action on the ball. So for anything outside of a flat serve, I feel like the TFight's gonna be the winner. The ATS 98 pockets the ball so well though, and so on a flat serve, that just goes a really long way. But for picking my spots and really hitting through the court, I'm just gonna have to go with the TFight again. Just such a beast on serves.
And when I was serving, we have the advantage of having the Zenith tennis system down here, and so you can see the speed of your serve. It's always on measuring the speed of serves, even when you're just practicing and you haven't logged in. And I found the speed of my serve with both rackets to just be right around sort of like mid 80s, pretty much is where I'm at. I hit a more spin serve than a flat serve. When I did flatten it out, I got a little bit quicker, but again, the speed really didn't differ between the two rackets. I was always in that kind of zone. I did like the crisper, solid feel of the TFight. This felt a little bit more connected to my target. So again, I'm gonna probably give the nod to the Tecnifibre on serve as well. Let's go in to returns.
With returns, I'm gonna have to go with the ATS 98 here. I just feel like it's a little bit more reliable for me personally. I feel like I need that deeper ball pocketing to help, absorb the pace off heavier first serves in particular. And then I just feel like, typically I do return one-handed, which is where I gave the edge to the TFight, but I'm trying to lean more into my two-hander on return, and that's where I feel like the ATS just really shines. And then for bread and butter, sort of touch shots, if I'm chipping a serve back, I feel like the deeper ball pocketing, again, just goes such a long way to really send the ball deep and keep my opponent from being able to come in off the serve.
Yeah, for me, there's no wrong choice on return out of these two rackets. They're both loaded with a ton of control. The ball goes exactly where you want it to go most of the time, and if it doesn't, it's on you, not the racket. These rackets are really precision oriented rackets, and I like the comfort of the Prince, but again, like I mentioned on my forehand, especially from the ground stroke, and the same on the return off of both wings, was that crisper, more solid feel of the TFight. Just had it kind of edging out the Prince, but again, happy with either one of these rackets in my hand. Let's touch on the feel of the rackets. I feel like even though the specs are very close, they do offer a different playing experience. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that with the ATS 98, you're getting something that's a little bit more traditional, a little bit more of that classic feel. We got that, very soft Prince response, which I think a lot of players really enjoy. It feels like the ball is, sort of sinking deeper into the string bed upon contact, and I really like how the frame flexes. So that's where I feel like most of the feel is sourced from. Versus the TFight has a little bit more of a modern crispness, I would say, to it. I think a large part of that is owed to the foam-filled interior. So that allows Tecnifibre, I feel like, to get away with a slightly higher stiffness. It's going to be, 63 RA on the TFight versus 62 on the ATS, so very close, but I think you can feel that difference, and the foam helps to offset that really nicely. I will say that for me, the feel of the TFight really is kind of unlike anything else out there, other than this ATS 98. So yeah, I would have to give the win to the feel category for the TFight once more. What about you?
For just getting that plush feel, the Prince gets it for me. It's just super smooth. And even though they are so close in RA, I find whatever it is, it must be the frame geometry or maybe how the racket is breathing. So flexing and cupping as you make contact with the ball. The TFight is just a much more solid feeling racket. So if you're looking for that crisp, precise, solid feel, TFight every day of the week. And if you want that kind of silky smooth, kind of like a closest thing you're gonna get from a Prince, I think, to the Phantom line, out of the tours is, I think, this 98, and it just gives you that really plush response, but with a bit more power than you would get from a Phantom, which is nice. Overall, give us your overall impressions, and which one would you take into a tournament? Which one's your winner?
Man, I've played both of these rackets in a competitive environment, and I will say that overall, I'm gonna give the edge here to the ATS 98. It's a racket that I would feel comfortable recommending to really any player, regardless of skill level and playing style. For me personally, if I were going into a match, I'd probably pick up the TFight, but just for ease of access, if you haven't played in a while, the ATS 98 is so forgiving, so friendly, so accessible. So I'm gonna have to go with the ATS 98 for an overall winner.
It's a tough one. I agree with you. It's both great playing rackets. I could go play a match with either one and be happy that I'm going to play my best tennis with either of these rackets in my hand. I felt very at home with both of them. Everything clicked for me, but I'm going to tip my hat to the TFight. Something's got to clinch it. It could be this new blue cosmetic on the limited edition one that just came out on the ID, but something's got to tip it in my favor. And I think that solidness on the returns and off the ground, the great new blue look. You can go white if you want to stay traditional Tecnifibre. So I'm going TFight, but really no wrong choice here. Really enjoyed playtesting both of these. That's all we got for this version of the racket comparison review. For more information on these products or anything tennis related, be sure to go to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.